Hey, welcome back to another Haven't Heard It video. We got 5 stories from Malicious Compliance today. Hope you're having a wonderful week so far. First story of the day. Spotify support told me to read their refund policy, so I did and forced them to give me a refund. So, my Spotify premium renewed today because I forgot to cancel. I immediately checked their refund policy online and confirmed I was eligible, so I canceled the plan, literally within minutes, and hopped on support chat to ask for the refund. Seems simple, right? Wrong. The agent, Christina, gave me the classic runaround. She said the 14-day refund period only applies to your initial sign-up, and since I'd been a member for months, I was out of luck. She even sent me a link to the policy to prove her point, telling me to read it. This is where the malicious compliance comes in. I did exactly what she said. I read the policy, and then I went deeper and found their full, legally binding terms of use. And what did I find? In Section 3, under Withdrawal Right, it clearly states you have 14 days after your purchase to withdraw for any reason. A monthly renewal is a new purchase. My own research before the chat was correct. I went back to Christina and quoted the terms of use directly. She put me in hold to check backstage, then came back with the same denial. Her team was doubling down on the incorrect script. So I played my final card. I sent this message. Since this dispute is specifically about the legal interpretation of the withdrawal right in your terms of use, could you please provide the contact information for Spotify's legal department or the appropriate office for handling formal contractual disputes? The change was instant. Suddenly, she had to see what she could do. 5 minutes later, I've managed to ask some support with our backstage team, and we can go ahead and process a refund for you. They folded like a cheap suit. Their business model counts on you giving up. Don't. You are entitled to your money back. Too long, didn't read. Spotify support tried to deny my valid refund by misinterpreting their own policy. I read their legal terms of use as they suggested, cited it back to them, and when they still refused, I asked for their legal team's contact info. They immediately processed the refund. Don't let them push you around. Top comment quotes. They fold like a cheap suit. They never expect people to read the terms and conditions, let alone understand and apply them. Kudos for calling them out and getting your refund. OP says, they're trained to follow a script. The trick is to give them a problem the script doesn't cover. As seen for the legal team, instantly turns a customer service issue into a risk management issue. Her manager did the math and realized the refund was the cheapest option. It works every time. Next comment says, Planet Fitness literally makes you go into the gym to cancel your membership. Annoying, but whatever. So I went to the gym in my new town, states away, and they told me I had to go to the original gym. Went to my bank, told them I wanted to dispute future charges. Thankfully, the clerk had similar issues, so she went into care mode for me and got not only 3 months of my money back, but 6 months prior too. The power of a scorned woman. Someone responds, LOL, I've done the same. I've had the same issue before as well. Did the exact same thing, which also netted me a ban from the original gym. Which, didn't really matter since I didn't live anywhere near the city it was in anymore. Makes for a fun story though. Next comment says, I did the same thing with Tesla. I ordered a Model 3 back when they had long lead times. They then decided to cripple the cars by removing things like the parking sensors. I said that was an issue for me and wanted to cancel. The frontline people told me to read the contract, that the deposit was not refundable, and that Tesla was entitled to give me a completely different car than what I ordered. I read the contract. It talked about Tesla adding features or making minor modifications that did not remove capabilities and gave me an option for arbitration. I promptly requested to take the issue to arbitration as the contract entitled me to. I was quickly given my refund. Next comment says, every business model for a subscription service counts on you giving up on requesting cancellations or refunds. My friend tried to cancel his gym membership by phone, but was told he had to make the request in person. The person behind the counter told him he needed to mail in a certified letter. The letter came back with directions to call her helpline. My friend had set up an autopay from a credit union account. His next step was to simply close that account. His gym membership was eventually canceled for non-payment. OP responds saying, that's next level evil. It's crazy the extremes we have to go to, all just to get what we're owed. Glad your friend won in the end. Last comment says, you received support? OP says, barely. I had to threaten them with their own legal terms to get it. Second story of the day. You want to fix our working hours? Our contracts have something to say about that. Early last year, we had a new manager take over the department. He previously headed another IT department in Germany, but moved to Switzerland to take the role in ours. Our team is spread over Switzerland, Spain, and Mexico, with second line in Spain and Mexico, and third line in Switzerland and Spain. It was a few months before he started making changes, and they were mostly small. We had to record how much time we spent on tickets, provide weekly updates on our changes and projects, and our monthly department meeting became fortnightly. It meant a bit more bureaucracy here and there, but it was mostly fine, nothing excessive. But about 6 months in, he made a change that none of us really liked. While Switzerland and Spain are both in the same time zone, in reality, our times don't really line up. Employees in Switzerland will start at any time between 7 a.m. and 8:30, while Spain can start later than 9 a.m. Lunch in Switzerland is often from 11:30 to 12:30, while Spain will wait until 1300 hours or later. Home time in Switzerland ranges from 15:30 to 17:30, while the team in Spain will often be online until 1800. This means that meetings between the third line teams usually take place between 9 to 11:30 and 1400 to 1600, i.e., about 4.5 hours a day. Outside of those times, you risk people not having started yet, having already gone home, or being out for lunch. This is what our new manager didn't like. While he couldn't really do much about lunch times, he saw the opportunity to align our start and end times. After reviewing people's calendars, he determined that enforcing an 8 a.m. to 1700 working day would cause the least amount of disruption to our schedules. This would increase the number of hours where we're all available by 2 per day or 10 per week. When he told us about the change, none of us were happy. Even those that wouldn't be impacted, because it already aligned with their usual start and finish times, were annoyed on behalf of those who would be impacted. When we asked why the change was being made, we were simply told it was about us all being online together more. Some people complained that it would impact out-of-work commitments, and we were told he would make allowances, but only temporarily. One guy said that he only takes a 30-minute lunch break, so this would mean he goes over his weekly hours. The manager said he would look into that. Then an older member of the team asked if he had run it by HR. The manager said no, this isn't something he needs to run by HR. The same guy then asked if we would have to start recording our hours. The manager said no, this has nothing to do with recording hours. Turns out the manager made a mistake here. You see, in Switzerland, by law, employees need to record their working hours, and employers need to retain records to ensure compliance with labor laws. There are, however, a few exceptions. Smaller companies can simply record the number of hours worked each day. Meanwhile, senior employees can be exempted from logging their hours if they meet a certain salary threshold, and their role allows for autonomy in the hours worked. All the engineers on the team based in Switzerland had signed this waiver. It wasn't uncommon for us to work 11 hours on one day and then 5 hours on the next. It wasn't uncommon for us to work 30 hours in one week, then 50 hours the next. We never recorded these hours. We never explicitly told our team leaders or manager. It was simply understood that some days or weeks would be busy, and as we managed our own time, we would make up for it later. We were trusted to manage our own time. And if we didn't sign the waiver to exclude us from logging our hours, it would create a mess for overtime, time off in lieu, etc. But one of the conditions for signing this waiver was that we were free to determine the majority of our working hours, which courts had clarified was defined as 50%. If we are contracted to work 40 hours a week, then our employer can fix 20 of those hours, and we can choose when to take the other 20. The manager had now fixed 100% of our hours. We were no longer eligible for the exception granted to us. For us, we could continue working the dictated hours, and legally, we would be fine. But if someone reported our employer to the government, the company could be fined and potentially be forced to log all employees' working hours, or lose the ability to file working time waivers, i.e., engineers couldn't work out of hours to perform maintenance and updates. The impact to the company could be huge. So the guy that asked the question went straight to HR and informed them of the manager's new policy. HR, recognizing the legal risk that such a policy could create for the company, went straight to the manager's director. The policy was put on hold later that day. On the Friday of the same week, another meeting was held. The manager apologized for not familiarizing himself with Swiss labor laws before implementing the policy and instead decided to implement a new one, which would be legally compliant. Spain would continue with the 8 a.m. to 1700 working hours. For Switzerland, 50% of our working hours would be fixed, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 1500 to 1700. In short, the first and last 2 hours of the day were fixed, and we'd have to fill in the rest with our free hours. It was dubious at best. I look at my calendar for Monday and see I have a meeting at 11 a.m. and another one at 1500, so I quickly ping a message to the two people on the 11 a.m. meeting. Then Monday comes around. At 6 a.m., I log in and see the 2 other members of the team I'd spoken to on Friday are logged in from home. I drop them a message to say hi. Our plans are to work until 10 a.m. and then log off until 11 a.m. when we have a meeting together with some of the team in Spain, take lunch from 11:30 to 13:30, then finish at 1700. 2 people arrive in the office at 7 a.m., having planned to take a 2-hour lunch break in the city. The rest of the team based in Switzerland, another 4 people, logged in at 8 a.m. and quickly hear what the other half of the team were doing. One was working from home, so wanted to be done as soon as possible. And one had an appointment at 17:30, so had to stick to the manager's implied schedule. But the other 2 that were in the office had free time that evening. At 11:30, they left the office, returning just before 1500, having spent the afternoon on a boat sailing around Lake Zurich. At 17:30, they both left the office and clocked up the rest of their hours working from home. On Tuesday, the fixed hours for the teams in both Switzerland and Spain were scrapped. The manager left the department a few months later. Takama says, "Tell us, OP, did the manager have an IT background themselves? I suspect to know the answer." OP says, "Yes, but a larger and more general local department, not a smaller and specialized global one. His old department was based in Germany, and he only served German stakeholders. We were a global team, hence having team members in multiple countries, and our stakeholders were global." Next comment says, "Classic manager making changes for the sake of making changes, i.e., petting their own ego." Someone responds, "And failing to do their homework before implementing those changes." Someone else comments, or to put it more crudely, they need to piss in the cornflakes before they like the flavor. Next comment says, "Fixed, 8 to 10 and 15 to 17. F that noise. Core hours are when everybody needs to be available, and they need to be contiguous." Last comment says, "That's the kind of manager that makes us scream in fury and invoke the curse of the erratic keyboard keys on him." I work in payroll/admin, so we are joined at the hip with HR. Those managers who invent rules without going through HR first is a nightmare. It takes months to clean up their mess sometimes. We use programs without any sense of humor or flexibility, and when we need to process that kind of absurdity, we dream dark and violent dreams of revenge. Story number 3. Provide an offer. Don't mind if I do. A few recent stories on here reminded me of a friend of mine, we'll call Dave, shared with his permission. Dave was working for a company for a few years, liked it there, liked the job, liked everything but the pay. His company pretty much only gave raises if you had a competing offer. Dave's boss knew this and advised him as such since he wanted to keep Dave. Dave didn't want to interview anywhere else. However, the supervisor who had hired him, we'll call him Bruce, had moved on to another job. Dave called Bruce, told him the situation, and Bruce was just like, "I've got an idea. I'll send you an offer letter. How much should you be making?" Dave was making $85,000 at the time, and based on his skills, experience, etc., should have been making about $110,000. So that's what he told Bruce. Bruce said not to worry and that he'd take care of it. Dave gets an email from Bruce, doesn't look too hard at it, and tells his supervisor the next day that he has an offer and was wondering if his job would counter. Dave forwards the letter from Bruce, and Dave's boss gets back to him offering him $130,000 to stay. As it turns out, Bruce, because he didn't actually need to budget for this position because it was fake, put $125,000 in the offer letter. He also had a knowledge of Dave's unit's budget, having formerly worked there, and knew they'd afford it to keep Dave. And that is how Dave maliciously complied with a fake offer letter to get a raise. Postscript. Bruce moved to a third company about 5 years ago and has since hired Dave there in an executive role he's doing well in. Top comment says, "Bruce is a fucking homie." Second comment says, "Not sure if it's malicious compliant, but outcome of the story is satisfying for sure. That's a raise, baby. Feels like almost double the salary." Someone replies, "I'd say it is. The company only gives raises over competing offers. He complied with that standard by getting a competing offer that ended up giving him a 40%-ish raise." Next someone says, "How can I get a hold of Bruce?" Someone says, "First, find a rooftop with a giant spotlight." Last comment, "I think Bruce is the one maliciously complying here, to be honest. He plays by the old company's rules to F them over. This company doesn't know what their employees are worth and relies on competing offers to determine raises. Fine, I'll give you a competing offer." Story number 4. We only want the report in the PowerPoint. Okay then. So a few years back, I was working as a business analyst for a mid-sized logistics company. My role mainly involved digging into raw data from our operations, analyzing trends, and providing insights to upper management so they could make informed decisions. Normally, I had to deliver reports in a combination of Excel dashboards, data visualizations, and a concise summary report in PDF format. This had worked well for over a year, and the manager seemed to like the clarity. Then came a new VP. Let's call him Mr. Showbiz. He had come from a background in sales and marketing, and one of his first orders of business was to standardize reporting formats. Fair enough. Except his definition of standardize was to demand all reports be delivered as PowerPoint presentations. No Excel files, no PDFs, just PowerPoint. I raised concerns, pointing out that some of the data sets were too large or dynamic to be accurately shown in a static slide deck, and that PowerPoint wasn't really made for detailed numerical reporting. His response? If it doesn't fit in a PowerPoint, it's too complicated. I want high-level summaries only. I don't want to see spreadsheets. Okay then, malicious compliance mode activated. What I did. For the next monthly operations review, I followed his directions to the letter. I took all 42 pages of Excel data I had prepared. I embedded every table and chart as individual tiny screenshots, one per slide, into PowerPoint. Some charts were shrunk so much you could barely read the labels. I stripped out all the dynamic functions like pivot tables or interactive dashboards, of course, because PowerPoint cannot handle those. Then I added short summary notes at the bottom of each slide. See embedded data. I ended up with a 74-slide monstrosity, and just to top it off, I set the PowerPoint's aspect ratio to 4:3 instead of widescreen. The default format our meeting room projector hated, and often cropped. The fallout. The presentation took forever to load, and when it did, it looked like a chaotic, unreadable mess. The charts were blurry, half of the text was cropped, and the VP was visibly struggling to understand anything. He kept asking questions like, where is the breakdown by location? And can you filter this data by week instead of month? To which I cheerfully responded, as per your instructions, this is a static PowerPoint. That functionality was removed. The kicker? Other managers were trying to zoom in on the slides using their projector remote and failing miserably. The room descended into awkward silence as I moved through slide after slide of illegible charts and clipped off tables. After the meeting, the VP pulled me aside and said, okay, maybe we can include a summary slide deck and attach the Excel files going forward. Victory! Too long, didn't read. New VP insisted all reports be in PowerPoint only, no Excel or PDFs. I complied exactly and delivered a 74-slide mess of illegible screenshots. Meeting was a disaster. VP quickly backtracked and allowed proper reporting again. Top comment, quotes OP. I want higher level summaries only. I don't want to see the spreadsheets. I embedded every table and chart as individual tiny screenshots, one per slide into PowerPoint. And they say, yeah, no, that's the opposite of compliance. Second comment says, what your story claims you did was stupid and pointless. A request for high level summaries is much more reasonable than ruining a report. Someone responds to this comment. We now know he will forever be unable to understand what executives need and deliver it. Just a petty person. Someone else replies, agreed. OP sounds like he's not only bad at his job, but also insufferable about it. Next comment says, you didn't maliciously comply. You utterly failed to comprehend the instructions you were given. Someone replies, there are plenty of data sets where 42 plus pages is the most concise summary possible. And last comment says, his response, it doesn't fit into a PowerPoint. It's too complicated. I want high-level summaries only. I don't want to see spreadsheets. Seems like you did not comply. Someone replies, also did not anticipate the disaster a PowerPoint would be and have the other report style available as a backup. Final story of the day. Want me to clean up users on the portal? Done. You're deleted. I work in IT for a big company and manage a portal that a small group of people use daily. Manager wanted me to go through the list of users and remove anyone who didn't need access. Simple request. I reduced the list from 100 to 30 people. Everyone's happy. A couple of weeks later, manager is complaining that 30 users is too much and wanted me to create a list of all their names, what team they are a part of, who they report to, and how often they need access to this portal. Annoying request, but sure, I got it done. He goes through the list and gets mad when he sees names he doesn't recognize, even though our company has a couple thousand employees. So he tells me to delete all users whose name he doesn't recognize. Stupid request, but okay, done. We are a global company, so immediately overnight I'm getting bombarded with emails that systems are down and no one has access to log into the system and fix it. My phone's going off, but fuck it. I don't get paid to work at 3 a.m. Next morning, my manager somehow gets mad at me for deleting the users he told me to delete and tells me to add them back. No shit, Sherlock. A couple of weeks later, he, again, brings up that he's not happy and the system is not secure. Too many users have access, blah, blah, blah. Like, bro, how bored are you? He wanted me to review the list of users with him again. 27 of the users use this system daily. There are only 3 users, himself and 2 other people, that are high up management that don't use the system at all, but are there for political reasons. He starts yelling at me, telling me to delete anyone who doesn't use the portal daily as part of their core job, and anyone new who wants access must fill out a form and explain why they need it. Okay, fine, fuck it, done. A couple of weeks pass by, and he goes, "Hey, I think something's wrong with the system. I can't log in anymore." Nope, it's working just fine. Then why can't I log in? I removed all users who don't use it daily as part of their core job. Quoted my manager from weeks ago, word for word. Add me back. Slides him the form he created. Manager has an angry face. Me, smiling. It's been weeks, and he still hasn't filled out the form, and I still haven't added him back. We are somehow on good terms now. Takama says, it sounds like he has serious seagull tendencies. Swoop in, scream a lot, shit on everything, and fly away, combined with not having enough to do. Someone replies, commonly referred to as bird management. Second comment says, board managers create chaos and confusion. Someone replies, shitty managers create chaos and confusion. Someone replies to that comment saying, yep, when I was a board manager, I just browsed the internet all day long and was not bothering people with my bullshit. Last comment says, we are somehow on good terms now. How? You must be the weirdest manager ever. Excellently done though. OP responds, he likes to bully everyone under him. I'm the only one who pushes back and says no. I'm also the only one on my team whose projects always go smoothly and everyone compliments me. I think the pushback and me delivering projects made him realize I know what I'm doing and leaves me alone. Someone else replies to the comment, bullies often become your friend after you beat the snot out of them. That's it for all the stories today. Thank you for taking the time to listen today. I hope you enjoyed these, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, and leave a comment below. I'll see you in the next one. And I really appreciate everyone who's subscribed so far. It means a lot to me.